Cinema verite. The rat mind Stella, completely shot of its twinkle, is inherited, now that we've done with it, by the meek, our feathered street rats, who rise flurrying from their pink-toed prance to the grid of rectangular spaces high in the granite brickwork, their very own loft. We imagine them as the brains of the edifice, hatching movie plots, cinema verite, not fluffy romance, in that stony cerebrum, and the doubtful delights of mould and flea-pit itch come scurrying back from years ago. The moral guardianship of the usherette, shining her torch among our kisses and gropes. Pigeon love. Dare we say this doesn't exist? For look, they increase and multiply, coo and preen, while their shelter, our forsaken den of dreams, stays in the dark. No sunshine or exotic location imaginable on screen, only dirt stains and flimsy hammocks of spiderweb hanging, where we watched the outlaw dismount from his het-up horse. The nurse, who'd seen too much of suffering, administered a lethal dose. The two soldiers play Russian roulette. Well, this audience roosts unconcerned. The rumour of the street, a filtered whoosh, a beeping car horn, a gaggle of voices behind us, won't stop them settling for the night. And the plot lines of our lives, seemingly shapeless, certainly untellable, move as we move, past steel-shuttered shop and railing-rounded park, our prospects inauspicious, more a case of earning the next crust than gazing at stardust, less intrigue on the Orient Express than finding change for the last bus, yet somehow to do with love, even to the grand, impossibly heroic gesture we promise ourselves we would rise to in face of impending catastrophe. Just a few more. Okay? All right. Lydia jumped. This is an elegy, quiet poem. Lydia jumped. And if a startled bird flew up, or if a branch creaked in the wood, was this the same as if nothing had happened? We'll find pleasure again on the banks of the brown Dodder. We'll walk next the spate and open our minds to the thundering waterfall. Again, when the river clears, we'll see our faces laughing in its untarnished mirror. We'll wear lilies about our heads in that reflection. But not today. Because Lydia jumped today to stop the hurt. Maybe a silence or a fist. Maybe a word to stop the hurt she never uttered. Who now might shrug at our notions of respect for the dead and wonder why we can't more cherish the living instead. Oh, do you say she hovers still between the tree canopies and the water course, taking time out to pity us? Do you sense how she contests her own fading sense of the street lamp and the moon, two splintering silver sickles afloat? Can you pluck from thin air the tiny goodbye she waves to the fixture that is a heron fishing, or to the pair of swans, the stupidest swans in Dublin, nesting on a temporarily dry segment of the sweeping weir, gleaning what you may. Lydia's gone, and no heaven or earth, no cypress wreath affixed to the iron footbridge, with her name on a card, dampening above the spindrift. When I was a young fella, I was called, on many occasions, the right scut. In fact, I'm the first recorded person, and I know the fellow might contradict me back in East Galway, but I'm the first recorded person in East Galway who ever scutted on the back of an old P&T green van. You know those old green vans? That means taking a ride on the back of it, hanging onto the back of it. I landed on my face on the long fall, and boy did it hurt. But a scut, of course, is the tail of a rabbit or a hare. And young people tell me nowadays, and I can say this term, young people quite self-consciously, young people tell me nowadays that a scut is a handsome young man. Anyway, this scut is about, tells me about a child where I worked in Ballyfermot. And as a teacher, I remember best the children I taught who were a bit like me when I was a child. Were kind of like scuts. Scut. Intoning a gift for teacher. More a gruff, here, mister. A winter of smokes and blue sniffs, taking his voice. More a cracked tenderness, as he hams me this lightest of light surprises. This fluffy white scut, culled from the rabbit he shot in open ground beyond Cherry Orchard. How could you, is not the thing to ask, despite the jump I get. For enraged, he'll say I'm soft in the skull, crying over a stupid rabbit. And besides, the only qualms I can spare are to do with the notion of a 10-year-old shooting guns as part of his weekend entertainment. Build a nature lesson around the rabbit's place in folklore? It's no sustenance for a boy whose own place is nowhere. And detailing the look associated with the rabbit's colour, or with whether this inspirer of myths passes behind us or before, is to ensure he'll screw up his freckled nose, and the wrinkles creasing his brow just deepen further. The rabbit as a symbol of fertility, momentarily he'll be all ears, then make quick copulatory gestures with his fingers, grin his knowing grin. No, it is enough to accept the gift and be thankful. For even if full of live wire impulses, beating a path from one trouble to the next, he seems scarcely to exist other than as an intense, nervy hallucination. Long-faced, feral child, talking in twitches and bursts, all short shrift, all mother's grief, all set to run, his panoramic eyes scanning the odds offered, on cover blown, on flimsy camouflage. And I'm going to finish now with a poem called Seasons. I want to thank you all sincerely for being so such a rapt, or at least or silent or quiet audience. I hope you were rapt. I hope you were music in the air and there's music on the page, and I'm going to go back to the music on the page as well. Thank you for that too. These poems came word of mouth to me and from own experience. It would be lovely to think that they might go around word of mouth as well. That's all in the lap of the gods. I finish with a love poem. My love poems tend to be always, Theo said, at a slant. I'm thinking a bit about at a slant. In this one, you have to imagine me as being very old, and my wife as being very old, which is even harder to imagine. But that's what you have to imagine in this poem. That's the way I wrote it. It's an imagination of the dim, distant future when we are old. Seasons. Though physical desire between them must die, is what even lifelong lovers say. And though their desire, as if chastened, falls away, I see us kiss in a room called enfeeblement, that is small and bare, and entered by an old creaky door. There we undress, ignoring the tarnished eye of the mirror. There we embrace. Seasons advance from winter's crippling cold to where plums cluster, dark and luscious. From summer's piquant green to ripe, sun-struck apples. So do sapless sticks flex and fire themselves afresh to nodding heads of roses, fragranced red and orange and yellow rustling. The big adventure of the earth rolls out over one more year. It still can't match our flame. We hold to our own spring, even in the thin, musty air behind that narrow door. Two sublime slips of a thing. Thank you very much.